Hi there, everybody, and welcome once again to the Good Sports Show. My name is Terrence. I'm glad you're here, and got a wonderful show for you tonight. Been looking forward to this one. Another visit with John Branch. John.
Hello, Chris.
Always great to see you.
Good to see you, dude.
And you know you're hardly ever in town, so it's good. You turned into the traveling man.
Yes, for a time there, I was traveling a lot.
Holy smokes! I mean, last time I saw you, it was Athens, and now
yeah,
you've been to the Super
football,
Bowl.
basketball.
You've been
yeah.
everywhere. Been to St. Louis. Holy
St. Louis,
smokes!
went to the Masters, and
yeah, you
I'm
know.
back.
In fact,
for a while.
yeah. Who does? Do you get the ideas for your stories? I mean, are they assigned to you?
I get the ideas.
Okay. Do you
yeah.
go to them and say, "I want to go to Augusta," and they say, "Okay, John."
That one,
let's see if
I
we
did. I had to kind of pitch that one a little bit.
Okay, let's see, John. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you can go this time.
That's kind of the way it works out sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. They have to figure out, how much budget they have and how should we best spend it. And yeah, golf seems to be a pretty big story here, and the Masters is always a big story. So sure.
Of course, when you were back there for that particular story, that's when the thing broke with Steve Cleveland
always
and Vance
happens that way.
Wahlberg, and you're
You
right
go
in
out
the
of
middle of
town,
it. But
yeah.
you did it. You pulled it off. It was a good article.
Well, thanks.
It was a very good article.
Yeah.
And then you were writing one about Chris DeMarco,
Mm-hmm.
and Tiger Woods caught him and passed him.
Fantastic finish. Yeah, really fun to be there. And everyone always asks me, did you see the shot on 16 that Tiger chipped in? And I say, no, actually I didn't. I was on the 15th green and watched 15. I'd watched all their shots all day long, followed them along out on the course. 15th green, I was up on the top of the grandstand. I could see them come in, see them putt out. You can look over the back of the grandstand and see them tee off on 16. So I knew where their tee shots had gone on 16, on the par 3 there. Saw that Tiger had missed the green and said, I'm going to move ahead up to 17. And if I hear a big cheer, that means DeMarco made his putt. And as it turned out, I heard a big cheer, and it was so big.
It was a big roar.
Yeah, I said that was not DeMarco making his putt. That was something else.
Oh,
so I missed the
man.
chip. So I caught it on replay like everybody else, I guess.
Well, I want to ask you too. Do you write your articles get picked up by other papers?
They do. They put some, I think. I don't really know. They put them on the wires, and then other papers.
Okay, so they put them out there.
Yeah.
Oh, then I'm
papers
sure.
can
I just wondered whether or not the Beat put them out because so you're a columnist for the Beat.
Right. Well,
so if they put them out there, I'm sure they're out there all the time.
Yeah. Well, probably 80% of what I do is Fresno specific. So I'm sure a lot of people in Des Moines don't care what I'm writing about Fresno State, but maybe every once in a while.
But you're such a good writer. Gosh, I know you're a great talk show host.
That was great. I'll come on.
That good?
Can I come next week?
But you are, John, and it's really enjoyable reading your stories. And do you ever write for magazines or anything like that?
I don't. Yeah, I've done a little bit of that in the past. In a future life, when I was a beat writer, we would sometimes write for some of the magazines, like Pro Football Weekly, when I was covering the NFL, that sort of thing. But
okay.
No, I'm busy enough.
How about no book on the way yet?
No book on the way. No. If I have one to sell, I'll come see if I can be on your show.
Please.
Not now.
Doing what you do is so versatile. There's so many different stories. I got some stories here, and we're going to take a break in a couple minutes. When we come back, we'll talk more about all the different type of stories that you do. And for writers out there, I mean, really, what do you say? I mean, how do you get to be John Branch?
I tell people I'm kind of Mr. Magoo. I sort of lucked into it, I feel like, in a lot of ways. But I just had a passion for. It's a long story, but I had gone into a different career field. Decided I wanted to become a sports writer, which is what I wanted to be when I was about 12 years old, and I just at about age 29 said,
that's great.
Why am I not doing this again? So I went back to school and then just kind of worked my way up and got a lot of great breaks along the way.
What were you doing in your 20s?
I was working for Costco.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was a manager for Costco, Price Club back then. But,
wow, that's incredible. Holy smokes, I never would have guessed that in a million years.
I was a retail manager. So.
That's great. Well, I'm sure that dealing with people all the time probably saw the difference.
Helps, yeah, I suppose.
Because I do recognize your passion for truth, justice, and the American way, but also for a sense of humor.
Yeah.
You're really great with the facts.
Thanks.
I did find one thing you had wrong that one time. Oh yeah, you said that I scored 34 points in a game. It was actually 37.
That who did?
And I did.
Oh, you did?
In that City League game.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so but that.
You scored more than I said?
Yeah. You said I only had 31. I had 34. It was that three at the buzzer.
That 3 at the buzzer. I didn't think it counted. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
I want to see the replay.
Can't win them all, but. It's not actually on replay.
It's a good thing.
But anyway, let's, I'll tell you what, we'll just take this break now and we'll come back and we'll start talking about the actual stories that this man writes and where he goes to get them. We'll be right back. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Good Sports. We're visiting with John Branch. And John, I thought maybe we could talk about your stories because, gosh, you write so many of them.
I do, and I kind of forget what I've written. So
how do you do that, by the way? I mean, how do you plug into one? Because obviously you've shown that you can do two things at once.
It's amazing because I've been a beat writer before, where you just write about the same team for entire years at a time, and I have such a short attention span that this job is great for me because I can just drop something and move on to the next thing. I get bored very easily, so it's nice to kind of dabble around a little bit.
But I think people will agree that it's your sense of humor, your jokes, and your analogies. I mean, you can't repeat those, right?
You try not to. Every once in a while you do. You kind of write something and think, have I read this before? Am I plagiarizing myself here?
A little deja vu.
Yeah.
Let's start out with recently you wrote one about Alex Smith going to the 49ers, and you went up there, which I thought was really interesting. You went to the 49ers training camp.
Yeah, up in Santa Clara.
And what was that like?
It was fine. I mean, there's like 36 reporters there, and Mike Nolan comes out after they make the pick. A few minutes after they make the pick, he comes out, and we're all standing there, and he takes some questions. Actually, he first comes out and says, "Okay, a show of hands. How many of you thought we were going to take Alex Smith?" About a third of the people raise their hand. How many of you thought we would take Aaron Rodgers? About a third of the people raise their hand. How many thought we'd take Braylon Edwards? A third of the people. And he said, we knew all along we were going to take Alex Smith.
Oh, really?
Well, so he said.
He didn't seem real happy about it.
Yeah, and then as he started talking, we realized that, they waited up until Thursday to kind of make it. He did up to Thursday to make his decision. He still wasn't sold on it. In fact, as we were talking and as he was answering questions, he said, I've really got to get back upstairs because if somebody's going to call, they'll be calling right now and entertaining trade offers. And he said, yeah, if somebody wants to offer us a trade, we'll listen through today at least. And so you sort of wish that he would sort of say, this is our man and we're going to move forward with this and this is a new era of 49ers football. But instead he's like, yeah, we got our man, but if anybody wants to trade for him, he's up for sale. So. Yeah.
Well, it was interesting, I thought, that Aaron Rodgers then in turn never got picked all the way down to number 24, and the Raiders passed on him.
It was funny because you asked what it was like to be there. In the media room where we were all watching, all of a sudden we're watching on TV like everybody else, and all of a sudden we hear the Raiders have traded up. We said, oh my gosh, the Raiders are going to come get Aaron Rodgers. They got up in front of the Packers. We thought maybe that would be the next place Aaron Rodgers, poor Aaron Rodgers, waiting around like that.
Oh,
maybe that would be the next place he'd go. But the Raiders traded up to get in front of them. We thought they're going to take Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to stick it to the Niners, just the way that Al Davis loves to do. And they're going to hope that Aaron Rodgers becomes the quarterback that maybe Alex Smith does not, and just to kind of show, look how great we are. And then they passed on him, and they took a defensive back from Nebraska.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but
who would you have taken, Rodgers or Smith?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
I kind of like that Smith in the sense that he's so strong.
Yeah,
he's a strong quarterback.
And today's game is such a brain kind of game. It's hard to be a great quarterback without being really, really smart.
Jamie Southern. Jamie's nice article he did on her.
Thanks.
I've known her since she was a little tiny baby. Yeah, John and Candy, her parents, and her brother Ben played ball with mice on Billy. And but she was always just happy to be there. I never realized how great she was till she got in high school as a pitcher.
Right.
And she's something
a machine.
else.
And that right arm, I don't know if they can bronze it or what. But it's incredible. And it's funny. A couple years ago when I first met her, this is one of the cute stories of her. She's really conscious about the right arm, because it's bigger than her left arm. And I remember her telling me.
Oh, great! No, that's really helpful.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look, it's about twice the size of her left arm. Yeah. And she said, I think she's adorably cute. I mean, for such a fierce competitor, she still has a kind of a girlish giggle about her and a happiness about her. And she admits that she is a little self-conscious about the arm, and like when she went to prom and so on, she'd always make sure the pictures were like this. She feels like she has this huge right arm. But yeah, her right arm is bigger. It's like a tennis player a lot of times.
Boy, I tell you, that right arm, the whole
I mean, it's hard to imagine where Fresno State would be without her.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, you pointed out a lot of really great things. It's a shame that it hasn't been to the World Series yet. Maybe this year?
It could be this year.
That'd be cool.
I mean, it's a tough deal. You just kind of hope you get hot at the right time and hope that, your best pitcher beats another really good pitcher, because there's probably 10 or 12 great pitchers of her caliber playing right now. You just hope that when they duel, that your pitcher gets the win. It's hard.
I remember having Amanda Scott on the show one time. We was talking, and Amanda was such a great pitcher and a great competitor, and she played a little bit of pro ball. But it's kind of sad, isn't it, that these athletes that are so great at what they do, at least as good as what the guys do, and yet there's no really place for them to go and make any money at all.
Well, it's interesting with Jamie because she's been drafted at least twice, by 2 different professional leagues. There are 2 leagues now going on for women's softball. and I don't know what they pay or anything else, but she was drafted first and I think 5th in the other league. So
Yeah.
she's very well thought of that way. And
Sure.
she's going to go give this a whirl this summer. She's going to try to make Team USA.
Well, that would be great.
And that'd
You
be
know,
great for
who's
her.
it, Laura Berg has played in 3 Olympics
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Maybe Jamie will do that.
Yeah, so maybe she'll become a future Olympian. If not, she might play pro ball. But one thing she wants to do is become a teacher. She wants to
Yeah.
become an elementary school teacher.
Oh, that's
but you're
awesome.
right, as opposed to some of the male athletes that we cover who don't even think about that sort of thing. They're
Yeah,
thinking,
and they make
I'm going to be a
zillions.
basketball player, and
Yeah.
this is all they've thought about.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I hope to play. And I said, really, 10 years from now, do you think you'll still be playing softball? She's like, I can't imagine playing another 10 years. I imagine I'll have a family and I'll be a teacher.
Yeah. Boy, good hitter,
That's the way they think about it.
How about, the Silicon Valley? That was a great article you wrote, because I agree 100%. See ya.
Yeah, I don't.
And now
I don't
they're
know.
talking about bringing it to Fresno.
I know. I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, what's
I've gotten,
that?
I've gotten a little bit of feedback from that. In fact, I saw Pat Hill the next day and said, I disagree with you, John.
I went to a couple, you know.
I just think that Fresno State, and I think Fresno has outgrown that. I think it had the bowl here, the California Bowl, was great for Fresno State at the time. It helped kind of give Fresno State something to shoot for every year.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, Fresno State, if they had a good season, would have a bowl to play in, and it would get showcased to some degree. I think Fresno State has gone beyond that. And
Absolutely.
I don't think
It was
real
great what they did this
football
year.
teams have their own bowl game that kind of helps prop them up.
Yeah.
And if my whole thing is if you needed the Silicon Valley Bowl to help justify or I guess validate the season that you just had, maybe you need to reevaluate the season you just had. Because if your whole season comes down to whether or not you make the Silicon Valley Bowl, I don't think those are very high standards.
Well, when I heard they were going to go to the Silicon Valley Bowl last year, I thought, oh no.
Yeah.
I was so
Again.
glad they took Boise instead.
were
They got to
tempted.
play Virginia, and they beat
Yeah.
them.
And you heard Pat for those couple weeks while it was still kind of iffy saying, I think we ought to just go there. All of our fans can go. We can get a BCS conference opponent. Maybe we should just go there.
Oh, no.
And then, of course, Virginia opened up for the Boise Bowl. But
Yeah.
other than that, it was so simple to go to San Jose. It was cheap for Fresno State to go to San Jose. It
Yeah.
was easy for fans to get there. They'd get a BCS opponent. And I sort of think
Yeah,
they sort of got
that's-
too comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, let's shoot higher here.
Sometimes the ride home wasn't so great.
Not always.
We're going to take a short break and come back with John Branch more right after this. Don't go away. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Sports Show. We're visiting once again with John Branch. And John, we're having a good time here rolling through some of your stories. How long does it take you to write one, first of all?
Depends on what it is. If it's a game that's on late at night, sometimes I can do them 30 or 45 minutes. You'll
Really?
see me in the second half of a lot of games I don't even watch because I'm sitting there trying to write because it has to be sent the second the game ends.
I have seen you do that.
And there are some that take, over the course of a couple days, just actually sit down and write. Maybe a full day to write and another day to kind of go back and tinker with it.
You ever sit there and you're writing along, you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is good. Oh, I like
Actually,
this.
usually just the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. You know what's funny is that I'll go back and look at things I wrote like a year ago and go, wow, that was really good. But the closer that it is to when I've written it, if that makes sense, the
Yeah,
less I like
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Like today's, I'll go, oh God, that was horrible.
Yeah.
A week ago, no, not bad. A few months
I-
ago, yeah, that's pretty good.
I have that sometimes with songs. I go back and listen to songs I wrote a
Yeah.
long time ago and say, I did not write that. I didn't write that. But listen, I want to, we're talking about these different stories, and I guess the biggest one, we mentioned it a little bit because you were back in Augusta when Lopes, were you there when Lopes?
I was there when Lopes
he
resigned.
Well,
Not here when they
that
hired
first of
Cleveland.
all, your article there was right on the money, I thought. I mean, it seemed like he was like, almost seemed like the reporters were running next to him as he's leaving town, going, "Well,
Yeah.
it's been real," know, and
A little too chipper to be leaving.
yeah, he almost seemed like happy
strange.
about it and didn't really have anything precise to say.
Right.
And it was all over phone calls, or
Supposedly all of our phone calls, and there are probably a lot of them, but it's hard to believe that that's the sole reason he's leaving.
That would be it.
Right, and it could very well be that could be the one thing that Fresno State said, Ray, this is the time to go.
Yeah.
It's because
maybe
of
they
this.
gave
This
him
is
the
this is
deal
the
that
last
they
straw.
gave Stacey Johnson.
Maybe.
Maybe they said to him, if you resign, you can resign. If not,
Could be.
Yeah.
I don't know how all those worked. But my belief is it was probably just the final straw, and they sort of said, yeah, this is the reason why he's leaving. Well, there's also this other history of stuff that we know about, but
Right.
I think Fresno State, as Fresno State is wont to do, would just love to sort of see it all go away and say, yep, that's the final chapter, let's move on.
Yeah.
And you just kind of wonder what else was there and what else was happening.
Well, it opened up just a huge door, and boy, oh boy, what happened over the next couple of weeks was unbelievable. Front page of the paper every day, and it was like, and we had just gone through the Stacey Johnson Klein thing, which I don't know what to say about that.
With the hire or the
the fire, the whole thing. I mean,
whole thing.
The news reports, everything was unbelievable.
That was,
and it changed. Each day you'd think, oh, Stacey's going to be kicking some major league butt here. Then all of a sudden you think, oh no,
that
wait a
was
minute.
the biggest soap opera.
It was a soap opera.
And I'm
That's
waiting
what it was.
for somebody to come make a TV movie out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, you know
what? They
you had the
probably
prescription
will.
drugs, you had the player revolt, you had the beautiful looks of the woman. You had kind of this whole Hollywood script thing.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a story grab a city or grab an audience the way that one did.
Oh, it
People
really did.
who never even followed Fresno State women's basketball all of a sudden had opinions on it. And everyone thought she's being treated unfairly, or you got to get rid of her. And
Yeah,
it just became the biggest talk of the
and
town.
it was back and forth and back and forth.
And I'm thinking, I've gone to all these games. There are 1,000 people at these games. I cannot believe now we have 1 million people who have an opinion about it.
Right. Well, if they ever have a movie, you know who the star will be?
Who?
Stacey Johnson Klein.
She'll, as herself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, but to the men's part, holy smokes!
Yeah.
I got to give this one guy credit, Darren Matsubara. I was talking to Darren. He was back at the Final Four in St. Louis, and he said, "I said, well, who do you think's going to get the Fresno State job? Because I thought Vance. I was thinking Vance all the way." And he said, "Well, I'll tell you a dark horse." He said, "Steve Cleveland." I said, "Oh, go back to your room and get some rest."
Right.
Steve's not interested.
Right.
And holy smokes, what a story that was.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating. And another thing that, right on the heels of Stacey Gate, if that's what you want to call it,
Stacey Gate
was the whole, everybody in Fresno all of a sudden had an opinion about who should be the next basketball coach.
Oh, yeah.
And about 80% of those people said it should be Vance.
Oh.
I've never seen such a roll
I
of
was
momentum.
positive. I was positive it was going to be Vance. I must admit. And I like Steve. I've known Steve for a long time and worked with him over at City. And he's a great coach. But I was so zoned into Vance. I think I would have been disappointed if Vance had taken the assistant job. Vance is a head coach.
Yeah.
He is not an assistant coach.
Yeah.
He is a head coach.
Yeah.
And someday he will be a Division I head coach. A really good one. So I think I was kind of glad to see him going back to City after all had been done. And now of course we're going to do the games too on Channel 32 and Channel 43. So Gary Kokola has said that we're going to do high school football on both stations and also City College basketball.
Well, they'll be good.
But what a thing! That was just an amazing change of events, wasn't it?
It was amazing, and what's
Take
funny
you
is
by
that
shock? I know you
it
had
did
said
a little bit. It's funny when the job first opened. I think probably the first person, me and some of the people I was talking to about this, we all kind of said, "How about Steve Cleveland?" And then that sort of went away because he said he wasn't that interested.
Yeah, because he said he wasn't interested.
The name didn't keep popping up, and so Fresno State or Steve or whoever did a pretty good job of keeping that in the background, I think. And so we kind of followed the 5 guys that were interviewed by the committee, and then all of a sudden, boop, at the end, Steve Cleveland pops back out again.
Well,
and I think it's a good hire.
I must admit, I think it's a good hire too. But I must admit, when Lopes was giving the press conference, I was thinking, Vance, my only question is, are you going to bring Lauren and Chris and Jose and Don all with you, or what's happening? Yeah. I mean, I was positive of that because he would fulfill everything that they were looking for. I thought.
And I wrote that right off the bat. I said, I think Fresno State needed 2 things. They needed to bring the excitement back. They needed to bring the fans back who were basically just said, I've had it up to here with Fresno State basketball and the athletic department. And they lost their fans. Vance would have brought that back immediately. But they also needed credibility outside of Fresno. And I think you could have done it 2 ways. You could have either said, let's get Vance and bring the people of Fresno together and then try to build the credibility outward.
Yeah.
Or
the other
what
way.
they did was bring the credibility from outside in Steve Cleveland and hope the excitement builds around Steve Cleveland.
Yeah.
Now, if he wins, yeah, absolutely. But if Vance had been hired as a coach, absolutely, the buzz in that arena that first game would be absolutely nuts.
Oh, it would.
We'd have all these months leading up to it of this kind of crescendo at this opener. I think Steve's going to have to kind of show us for some reason, and I don't know why Steve Cleveland is being treated that way. I think people sort of seem they think that he needs to show us something. But
well, you know what? Are we saying goodnight here? No. Oh, we're just taking a short break. I'm sorry, John. We'll be right back. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Good Sports. We're talking with John Branch. We only got 2 minutes, and boy, I wish we had another hour, because John, you're a heck of an interesting guy, and once again, there's lots more stories to talk about, and I know you're
another day
going to be busy on a lot of them. But to close up on the Fresno State thing, I think I agree. What it was the immediate fix is really good. You know,
Right.
Steve. You know, I can see two basketball fans talking on a plane going from Buffalo, New York to LaGuardia, and they're saying, "Hey, how about Fresno State? You know, they fixed up that program out there.
Right.
You know, they got Steve Cleveland from BYU, and that's
Right.
probably what the whole country thinks, and that's really good.
Right.
So, but still,
it'll work out.
I think it's going to be great because now you're going to see both this year.
That's true.
You get both of them. So, what are you off to? What's next?
I'm in town for a while.
Are you?
Yeah, it's kind of the end of the season with basketball and football is all done. Sort of summertime becomes my slow season. So
Rodeo's done.
rodeo's done. So yeah, I'm in town.
Have you ever turned down a story?
Sure.
Really?
Sure. I get pitched stories all the time that I kind of go, I'm not crazy about that.
Okay. And they say, okay, well then,
Just sometimes, or they get really angry with me,
yeah.
but that's okay.
And you say, but that's the way it is.
Right. I'll choose what I want to write. So.
Well, boy, continued success, man. You're just doing
Thank
a
you.
great job.
Thank you.
I always enjoyed. How many times a week is it now?
3, 4, 5, whatever it
Wow.
takes.
You are a workhorse.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to
Always
see
a pleasure for
John
me.
Branch.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot, John. And thank you for being here, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week on More Good Sports. Be a good sport.